All right, welcome everybody again. I just started the recording, so we'll start all over again. Take two. Martin Pea and Lance Luke here, um, bringing you live on Zoom and on Facebook, talking about our continuation of our Ask the Building Expert series. And the topic today is about flooding. And why do we do all this stuff and take our time to present you information because we want to help building owners, condo associations, property managers, homeowners, and anybody who's interested in the topics that we bring forth to you, which are building and construction issues and other related topics too. And if you're able to see the screen, there's photos of me in San Francisco at the Millennium Tower, which I did a webinar on. And then I was in New York. There's a building on Park Avenue, and it's not a monopoly building. It's a real condo building that has allegedly 1,500 construction defects, but more about that later. So this webinar is presented by Construction Management Inspection, which is a Hawaii-based construction management company. We do engineering, building inspections, and all that. Our topic today is after a flood, do this, not that. And I'd like to welcome, I see people joining us from not only in Hawaii and different neighbor islands, but different cities throughout the United States. And there's some people who are from outside of the US in foreign countries. The topic after a flood applies no matter where you live, what part of the world you live, what part of the United States you live, although there's some states that have more flooding than others. And maybe we'll talk about that throughout our presentation. But the question is, what constitutes a flood? Like, what is a flood? And the simple answer is a flood is an overflow of water onto and or into a generally dry area. So basically, it's a event that happens where no water is there or normally there, and now there's water. So that's what basically a flood is, and it could be a flood from different sources, and I'll talk to you about the sources in a bit. And here's the bit. So different types of floods. There's main types of floods, and you probably kind of know this already, but here's the breakdown. There's coastal flooding, which are high waves, king tide, tsunamis, and 10 years ago, I don't think we ever heard of the word king tides or the words king tides. We heard of high waves or frequent wave action or even tsunamis, but king tides was a relatively new phenomena, although it's been around for a while. It's some kind of new term. So that's coastal. Coastal flooding is basically water from the ocean coming on land. And then there's the river stream flood, where it floods so much that your river or stream overflows. So the water exceeds the level of the bank and starts overflowing on land. That's a river or stream flood. And there's a flash flood. And what that is just so much rain coming down through either a storm or hurricane or a lot of rain event, and all at one time, and that's the flash. That's why it's called a flash flood. There's also groundwater flooding, where there's so much water it saturates the ground, and there's no other way for the water to go. It just totally saturates the ground, and then now it's seeping up through the ground, and that's not good, especially if your house is sitting on your house foundation is sitting on soil, and then now water's all of a sudden coming up through your foundation. And then the last type is a sewage event where you have a broken drain line or sewer line and it causes a flood. And you don't want to be in a condo, high-rise condo, where there's a broken sewer pipe above your unit and floods your unit and other units below yours or on the side. So these are the main types. There's other smaller types of flooding, but these are the main ones to be concerned with and the most common. Now let's talk about major floods in the United States. Now there's a whole bunch of flooding that occurs every year in the United States. And these are some of the major ones. And you probably know of other flooding in the United States, but these are the major ones that are on record. Remember Hurricane Katrina, southern Louisiana in 2005 that kind of devastated New Orleans and other surrounding areas. And there was a Superstorm Sandy, which hit New Jersey and New York in 2012, and that was pretty big. And then Hurricane Harvey, Houston, Texas in 2017. And these are the main United States floods. There's also a lot of other ones that weren't as bad, although if you experience that, it's bad in itself. So flooding is mostly caused by hurricanes. Yeah, most of the floods along the southern United States and the eastern coast side, Florida, Louisiana, Texas area. So those are the key areas to be watching out for. Now you may ask, well, a lot of you are located in Hawaii, or you live in Hawaii. Well, what are the major floods in Hawaii? Well, let's talk about that. So on Oahu, New Year's Eve, December 31st and January 1st. So December 31st, 1987, January 1st, 1988. There was a huge flood New Year's Eve. And I actually was out of town. I was in San Francisco, and I had turned the news on, and there was all this flooding, and I'm like, hey, that looks like Kailua. And then the headline said, Honolulu, Hawaii flooded. And I said, oh, okay, this isn't good. And then there was a flood, Anahola, Kauai, December 1991. And these kind of go back, but it's still on record as a major flood. Then on the southeast section of the Big Island, November 1 to 2, 2000. Then as we go further, there was a huge Manoa flood in December of 2007 that caused a lot of havoc. The stream, Manoa Stream overflowed, caused a lot of damage. And, like the United States floods, these floods in Hawaii are mostly caused by hurricanes. In fact, all of them, either a hurricane or a huge storm that maybe did not hit a hurricane category, caused major flooding. And as you know, the major flooding caused major damages. And a lot of things just don't dry out and it's damaged. Like not only your house, but all your personal possessions. If it got flooded, water, chances are you can't save it. Furniture, carpet, wooden furniture, and a lot of furniture is made with cellulose type material, pillows, blankets, and all that. Once it gets wet, it's kind of hard to dry out, like the foam mattresses and all that. So basically, it's of no value. You gotta trash it. Maybe blankets, clothes, you could try to wash it, but if it gets stained, it's not really usable. So you may ask, well, or you may not even know this, that there's actually different categories of water damage. It's not all like it's flooded, we got water damage, and insurance companies really follow how to categorize flood water damage because there's different types of claims on water damage and different types of remediation. Um, if you have like spilt water and it's clean water, the damage isn't too bad. Like say you spill water on carpet and it's clean water. You kind of mop it up and soak it up and let it dry out, right? And that's fresh water. But what happens if the water is not fresh? And we'll talk about that. So there's actually three main categories of water damage. And this is known in the insurance industry and also in natural flood or unnatural flood for remediation companies, that if you have a flood, they come with their wet vacs, dehumidifiers and all that and try to clean it up because it's an insurance claim. So category one, and to me, this is the best kind of flood for insurance. Now, no flood is a good flood. And so when I say best, I'm saying this is cleaner to settle an insurance claim if it's fresh water. And we're talking category one, which is clean water, or basically clean water from your faucets, your toilet tank, your drinking fountains. And people think that the water in your toilet tank is dirty water. It's actually fresh tap water that's filling your toilet tank. So it's like a reservoir. So the consideration is it's considered basically clean water. Okay. And now you wouldn't want to drink it, but it's considered for category purposes, the water is not bad. Now, what is category two? Category two is water damage from what we call gray water. And gray water is water that is dirtier than the standard tap water. And so a term for gray water could be water that comes out of your dishwasher when it's draining, or coming out of your laundry washing machine on a drain cycle. It may have detergent, bubbles, soap, scum, and all that. That's considered gray water. The other definition of gray water is water that comes from your toilet, but it's only if you did number one, which is urine only, and that's considered gray water. So the category two is worse than category one, right? And what's category three? Well, you probably know by now. So, I mean, it's bad. Category three, I've been to houses that had a category three flood. And when the carpet is nice carpet that used to be white is now like brown, dark brown and stained, and you're sloshing in sewage water. That's not good. Also, I've been in condos where that was a situation and they had bamboo laminate flooring or hardwood flooring. And I could see where the floorboards were warping already within a matter of 4 hours or so. Especially laminate. Laminate, I mean, once it gets water, forget it. It's just you got to throw it away already. That's why they're coming up with this new vinyl laminate flooring where if it gets wet, you can clean it and it doesn't warp. So back to category three. Category three is the worst type of flooding, and category three consists of sewage backup or overflowing streams, toilet waste, and that sort of thing. So you never know a stream or a river the water could look clear, but it's actually hazardous. Why? Well, I'll give you an example. In Hawaii, the water can look clean, but it's coming from the mountains. And when there's rats and other animals that are in the stream, now you have all these bad bacteria and bad stuff mixed in the water. That's why you don't want to drink the water from a stream. Okay? And then even there's outlets where the sewer line goes into the ocean, Kaneohe Bay, Waikiki, and all that. You don't want to be drinking the water. Have you noticed that when you're sometimes swimming at the beach and then you come out of the water and your skin feels itchy? That's not necessarily because of the salt. Okay. Now, when the water dries, there's salt on your skin, and that could cause itchiness and redness. But if the water is contaminated with sewage, that could also cause itchiness and all that. And there've been a lot of cases where the water's tested all around Hawaii beaches, and it's found to contain high levels of bacteria, E. coli, and all that. So just think of category 3 as a worst type of flooding. Okay, and then also in this category 3, because it's the worst type of flooding, there's a lot of things that are damaged, and it's not salvageable. Any kind of cellulose material, cardboard boxes or photo album, books and all that, once it gets damaged from the sewage, you basically got to toss it. There's no way to save it. Okay? So just be careful. Martin, you have your microphone on, yeah?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I thought you wanted to talk about a sewage or something. Okay, now let's continue. Now, let's say there's a flood, and hopefully none of you guys have to experience this ever, but in the event you do, or you have a relative on the mainland or in Hawaii, when the next flood comes, and it doesn't have to be a natural flood, it could be a pipe bursting or something like that. What do you do first? Well, after a flood, the idea is to recover quickly, because floods can happen anywhere. It rains or anytime there's a plumbing leak, or not even in your own house. If you live in a condo or a townhouse and your neighbor has a plumbing leak that lives next door to you or above you, guess what? You could have the flood too. Okay, so it may not be only you, or it may not only be because of heavy rain, or if you live at the beach and there's high waves or a tsunami, your whole neighborhood may get inundated with water. So here's what to do first. You play it safe. Avoid moving water. So if it's raining, the stream is like getting higher and higher, don't be curious and go out to look and all that. Kind of decide what you're going to do, and that's playing it safe. Avoid moving water. Stay away from damaged areas. Help is available. Sometimes you may have to wait, especially if there's a huge storm or flood. There's only so many emergency personnel to help you, EMT, firemen, police, and all that. So you may have to be patient, but help does arrive. Emergency workers will arrive soon. And when I say soon, it may be an hour or longer. You never can tell. So if you experience a flood, here's what you do. Make sure you're safe first. And let's say the rain stops and the flooding stops. Then you check for damage. Okay, you look around your house. Try to document things for insurance purposes, because you may have to prove what the loss is. Remove wet items. All the wet items, take it out of your house and put it in your yard, or store it on the sidewalk, because it's basically not salvageable. And these are things that it's wasted already. Okay, and then make a plan. If your house is damaged enough where you need repair, you got to make a plan to fix the damage, and hire the right contractor. Normally, when there's a major natural disaster, Some contractors may not be licensed contractors. They go around offering to fix your house, and they charge 3 to 5 times or more what the real cost is. They take advantage because it's a disaster, and that's actually illegal to do that. And then also notify your insurance company right away about the claim. Okay, and that's a must. And the insurance company is gonna send an adjuster or somebody to inspect and take photos and all that and document, but you should do that too, just in case the adjuster says, I didn't see any damage to this or that, or the water wasn't high. If you see the watermark on your house, inside your house or outside, and there's a line because of the stain, measure it and take a picture, because the insurance adjuster may not agree that the water went that high. Okay. Now, when the water gets higher than your electrical outlets, guess what? That means all your electrical wiring and your outlets got water, and they should be checked, because even if it still works, once it gets wet, that metal can start corroding, and within a couple of years now you have a compromised electrical system or wiring. Okay, so want to offer this free book for you. It's called Repairing Your Flooded Home, and the book is free. You can go to our website, askbuildingexpert.now.site, publications, and you can download it free. And this book is actually presented by FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Association, and the Red Cross. And I happen to be one of the authors or a contributing author in this book, I think in the 90s. And this was interesting because I was asked to contribute because of my experience in construction and experience in going in looking at homes after a flood. And I was happy to do that. And because of the publication, I actually appeared on several radio stations on interviews and to talk about the contents of the book. And it was funny because one of them was a Japanese radio station, and I don't speak Japanese, so it was pretty funny trying to figure out what the guy was asking me and stuff. But anyway, it's a free book. You can also go to FEMA, the FEMA website, and type in Repairing Your Flooded Home, and you can also get access to the book too. But if you go to our website, we have that information for you free. I would say download it and save it, or print it up and file it away. It's very helpful and has useful information. So I think that's pretty much wraps up my presentation today. Let me see what else we have. Building expert recommendations, expert advice. Always be prepared, like in Boy Scouts. Want to be prepared because you never know what the next event is. It could be a tsunami, it could be a hurricane, it could be a tropical storm, a lot of rain. Make sure you check your roof and your windows and there's no leaks, and just keep safe. That's the whole idea. It doesn't matter whether you live in a single family house, a townhouse, or a high-rise condo. There's always situations where a roof may leak, or you could have a leak coming in at your windows and that kind of thing, which is not good, right? What you missed, if you attended our webinars before, we've given a lot of different interesting topics in our webinars, from condo reserve studies to roofing, concrete spalling, cast iron drain piping. A lot of different topics that we feel are important to you based on my own experience. And we have other people who are working with us or attended our webinars, and they suggest topics, and if we feel it's important enough to let you know, then we'll schedule it in, because it takes a lot of time and energy to plan a webinar with the content and the PowerPoint and all that. So go to our website, and all our webinars are actually recorded and on demand. You don't need a Netflix account or Disney account or whatever. Just go and get it free and watch it when you can. Each one is about 60 minutes or so, including the Q&A. So we welcome you to get more information and become knowledgeable on these different topics. And what's coming up? We have a special webinar that we're planning, and it's on monster houses, and it's July 7th. And the announcement, it's not on our Zoom registration page yet, but I'm just letting you know it's going to be there soon. And the reason why we're doing it is I've had over 100 people say that they wanted to know more about monster houses, because that was kind of a touchy subject right now. So I'm going to touch on, what is a monster house, what the building and zoning codes are with respect to monster houses, and how these houses get to be built. Hey, people say, how can they build these kind of houses? What's going on? How did they get the building permit? So there's a lot of myths and misunderstanding about the building code and the zoning code, and how these developers are building these huge houses. So I'm going to share that. Plus, I'm going to share with you the secrets of what these developers do after or during the time of construction. Okay, these developers aren't going to like it, but too bad. I'm sharing the secrets. Okay, so also, in addition, we have some other webinars coming up, and hold on a second. Let me look at my list, because I just want to make sure I'm giving you the correct information. Of course, we have some time here for Q&A. All right, we got a webinar. The next webinar we're doing is contractor bidding, avoid the ripoff. So I purposely wanted to do this so homeowners and condo board members and anybody who's hiring a contractor can get the scoop on how contractors bid, what kind of bid form, how are they bidding, what kind of actual contract and the types of contracts they use, and disclosures and disclaimers and that kind of thing, and how to avoid getting ripped off by the contractor. And I have one clause that I put in my contracts that has saved $25,000 or more. Homeowners have saved, and condo associates have saved this much money and more because of that one clause. And I'll explain that to you. There's also a termite story. They're always hungry. So it's basically a webinar about termites. And then there's window safety hazards. What are all the hazards and lawsuits with respect to windows? There's jealousy windows, there's glass that's not safety glass, there's windows that are too low to the ground, too low to the floor on a high-rise condo, which is unsafe. Then interesting one in August, there's a Grenfell Tower. You know that tower in London that was a huge fire? I'm going to be talking about that, talking about how the building was constructed and what caused the fire, and also what caused the fire to spread, and talk about the lawsuits and all that. And then after that, there's hazardous building materials, be aware. Then there's special inspections, and that has to do with the building department DPP requirements on having a third-party person inspect new construction. And there's construction inspections. How important is that? I'm talking about that. And then there's problems in the construction industry, defective materials, how to identify. And believe it or not, there are defective materials in construction. And I think that'll be interesting for you to know. And then in December, we're planning a holiday party. And I know Martin always looks forward to the party. So we're not having a webinar, but we're having a party over Zoom. And last year we gave away close to $1,000 of gift cards and prizes. So if you're interested in winning stuff, sign up for that. It's going to be fun. Now, all it is fun and games. We may sing a song or two, play a few games and all that, but there's opportunity to win prizes because we decided that, we're giving so many webinars. Why don't we change up on things and make it more lively? And I always wonder, how come more people attend our party on Zoom than attend our actual webinars? Maybe because we're giving free gift cards or something. So anyway, appreciate you guys attending, and let's see what else we have. I think it's time for Q&A. Yeah, so time for Q&A. The National Building Expert, Ask the Building Expert series, construction management inspection. If you're located in Hawaii, we're here to help you. If you're located in anywhere in the United States or any other place throughout the world, we're not able to kind of go there and look at stuff for you, but if you have questions, we'll be happy to answer them. Or if you have photos you want to email us, we're happy to look at it and let you know what our opinion is. So if you need to get a hold of us, email lanceluke@hawaiibuildingexpert.com. Phone number 808-422-2132. If you don't dial 808, you won't get through. And then our website is askbuildingexpert.now.site. And if you go to that site, it basically has all our previous webinars on video on demand. It has some press releases. It has some books you can download for free. It has all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, we spent a lot of time and money, well, Martin did, not so much me, but building this whole website for you guys. And that's basically a separate brand of ours. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. I call it a show. It's actually a webinar. But let's see if there's any questions, and I'll turn it over to Martin right now and see if he has any questions.
Okay, Lance, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, good. I got some maintenance work going on the outside, so I'm not sure how that's coming across. But yeah, we got a few questions, so let me hit you with the first one. It says, my condo unit had water damage from a broken drain pipe, but the insurance company has deemed it only a category 2. Now there is mold. What should I do?
Okay, first of all, the insurance company is wrong, and I don't know who your insurance company is, but if it's a drain pipe that has a sewer or wastewater, that's immediately a category 3. So the argument could be made that they called it wrong. I don't know who gave them the information or not, but that's wrong already. So in the insurance restoration field, if it's a drain pipe for sewer or any kind of other drain pipe, like your kitchen. Okay, so your kitchen sink drain pipe and your bathroom drain pipe, it's the same pipe. It goes to the same wastewater. It's called wastewater sewer pipe. It's exactly the same. So even if you pour fresh water down the drain pipe, it's still considered a category 3 for insurance purposes. Okay, so that was wrong. And now the fact that there's mold, now you got to look at what is the time frame. Historically, from the time that you had the leak, you reported the leak until the restoration company came in. How many hours went by? How many days went by? And then what did the restoration company do? If they only treated it like a category 2 and not a 3, then that's an error on their part. Okay, now the fact that you have mold. Now let me back up a bit. When the dreaded 4-letter word mold is involved, it doesn't matter what category. Okay, if it's a category 1, 2, or 3, any of these categories can actually create mold because of the dampness in cellulose material, wood or drywall. Okay, drywall especially is known, okay, to be a carrier or a growth product for mold, okay, because of the paper. Okay, wallpaper too, because mold grows underneath the wallpaper. You may not see it on the surface, but it's growing inside. So mold has to be remediated, and there's different types of mold. You know, like if you have a bread and you kind of leave it on your counter for weeks at a time and you see mold on the bread, that's a different kind of mold than the mold that's growing inside your wall. So what I always recommend is you have a mold remediation company come in and do testing. And there's 2 types of tests. Okay, that there's actually more than 2, but one of the tests that are the 3rd type is you look at it and say if it's mold or not. That's not the test that you want, right? The test that you want is more concise. It's either a bulk sample test where they take samples of the mold, send it to a lab, analyze it, and they tell you what species and what type of mold that is. And then there's the air sampling. Now, just because you don't see mold on the walls or anything doesn't mean there's not mold inside in the air flying around. Okay, so it could be mold, and the mold could be toxic, or it could be maybe non-toxic. But for people who have other conditions, health conditions that they're not deemed totally healthy individual, maybe they have allergy or asthma, or they're elderly and they have a hard time breathing, they have a low immune system or whatever, you know, they cannot be susceptible to breathing this mold, the mold spores, and there's spores in the air. You can't see it. Okay, so in answer to the question, you got to get several people out there, mold remediation, testing, get rid of the mold and retest. Okay, so there's cases where there's a flood and things have not been properly done. The steps have not been properly taken to remediate the flood damage and fix the mold, or even take out, if it's not mold, remove damaged building material, whatever it is. Could be carpet, carpet padding, could be flooring, laminate flooring, drywall, you know, all that kind of thing. So I would, I don't know when the person that asked question, what time period, but if you still have the mold, I urge you to start calling people and call your insurance company. Sometimes you got to fight with your insurance company, but if you have to fight, fight, because stand your ground and make sure you know what your policy covers. Some policies don't cover flood damage or even mold, right? Now they're writing, insurance companies are writing exclusion for flood and mold. So be careful, you know, especially after that Florida building collapse. A lot of insurance companies are revamping their coverage, and so their exclusion page or pages of what they don't cover is longer, more pages than what they do cover. So, you know, that's just a heads up. All right, long-winded answer, but I thought it was a good explanation. Any other questions?
Yes, Lance, and that was an excellent answer. Thank you. The next question here is, oh, it's a thank you. So an appreciative viewer listener. Thank you for the free book. I hope I never have to use it. I am interested to know how you got selected to contribute to the FEMA publication.
Okay, what happened was I subscribed to like 80 construction, design, engineering publications. And in one of those publications, there was an article by FEMA. And it said they're looking for contributors for their book about what to do after a flood. And I thought it was interesting, and I thought I could contribute. I had background information, so I wrote back to them saying I'm interested, and they wanted to know. I mean, it was sort of like applying for a job. You got to send your resume and all that before you selected. Then about a month later, I got a letter in the mail from FEMA saying, you know, congratulations, you're selected to be a contributing author in our publication. And man, the lead time was like 2 years. So the date I got the letter, they're saying we're planning on, you know, actually publishing this book 2 years from now. So there was a lot of lead time, and there was other contributors too from different industries throughout the United States. So I think it finally came together, and I was pretty happy that I got to be, you know, a part of a government production. So, and it's still being used today. I don't know what edition they're going through now, and I didn't even know if my name is still in the book as a contributing author. But anyway, I did it to help the cause, and you know, I didn't get paid for it, but I think the amount of success that book has made me happy. I don't know, I don't know what the count was, how many books were printed and all that. I know it was like hundreds of thousands. But thanks for asking the question and making your comment.
So can I ask a question then, Lance? Was this
Yeah.
your first best-selling book
I don't,
before the others?
no, that actually wasn't a bestseller because it wasn't put on the list to be part of that group. I don't think any government book they submit it for, you know, being a bestseller, because
Right,
it's government works. It's considered public domain kind of thing, although it's copyrighted. And
right.
you know, the Red Cross actually distribute theirs. But actually, my first published works was when I was in college, and this this group, Bamboo Writers, or forget what the name was, were looking for poetry and short stories, and I had written a bunch of poems and short stories, and so I entered. It was a whole contest, and I think one or two of my poems got selected, and one of my short stories. So that was like, I was really excited because that was my first ever publication. And so I thought, whoa, I must be half decent if I got selected. And
Yeah, must be.
yeah, and you know, my mother's a school teacher, you know, for over 30 years, and her specialty is reading. So she was pretty happy when she found out that she didn't even know that I actually wrote until I said, hey, you know, take a look at this. I got a couple of things published in my college booklet here. So
Oh, terrific.
that was fun. I mean, because of that, I said, you know, if I'm a pretty half decent writer, then I might as well write about building and construction stuff to help people. Oh, by the way, here's a segue into my upcoming book. I'm actually writing a book right now, and it's in probably 80% completion. It's called Building Safety. And so it should be out by the end of this year. And it doesn't matter if it's not a bestseller. I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it just to educate people and help people, with building safety and health issues of buildings and all that. So if you're interested, shoot me an email and I'll put you on the list. I'm having a list. I'm giving away a bunch of free books. After that, it's going to be sold on Amazon. It's probably going to be an ebook first because that's easier. And once we finish it, it's available online. If we go through the printing, it takes a while to have it printed and on Amazon and all that. So anyway,
Yeah, good. Thanks.
yeah, that's what I'm working on.
Good. I didn't mean to take you off the Q&A, but I just thought about that. Yeah. So then the next question we get here is, you are the national building expert. So can you tell us when the next hurricane will hit Hawaii? I didn't know you were a weatherman too.
Yeah, meteorologist, hurricaneologist, or whatever you call it. If you give me a minute, I'll look at my crystal ball, or, I got this business card, 1-800-PSYCHIC hotline or something. I can call and ask, but I don't predict hurricanes, although I can tell you that hurricane season is upon us. Hurricane season this year is from June 1st to November 30th, 2022. Okay, so we're into hurricane season now, and every year goes by, there's really no hurricane, but we're overdue by years for a hurricane. And if you talk to the specialists in the industry, and they'll tell you the same thing. So I did a webinar on hurricane ties and roofs, and you could watch that video on that. But Hawaii is way overdue. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So you got to be prepared. Although nationally, they're saying that this year it's going to be a slow season for hurricanes. And when they say slow season, it's kind of weird, because it's like it's a slow season for salmon or something, but hurricanes, I don't know. But there's a hurricane coming up in the future. We just don't know when it's going to hit. And a lot of houses in Hawaii are still single wall construction, not double wall. They don't have hurricane ties, hurricane clips, any kind of hurricane protection. So, if a big hurricane hit Honolulu proper, I mean, it would be billions of dollars in repairs. So, and that leads me to a story. There was a hurricane Iniki or Eva, I forget which one. My cousin was living in Kaneohe. I got the call from my mom. You got to go help your cousin. Her roof, blew off, and I'm thinking, yeah, okay. Some people exaggerate, so maybe some of the shingles actually blew off the roof. So I drive down and I saw the house, and there was no roof. The whole roof blew off in Kaneohe. The wind uplifted the whole roof of the house and carried it, and the whole roof of the house was sitting in the middle of Kamehameha Highway in Kaneohe. And it was on the front page of the newspaper. And I was telling everybody, oh yeah, that's my cousin's house, So it was so bad that they had a 27 cubic inch side-by-side refrigerator that got, I don't know how, but the thing was upside down. I don't know how that happened in the kitchen, but that's the force of a hurricane. And I remember I determined that the house was a disaster, and they were renting, and they had this baby crib that they built. It was in parts, and they took it in the room, and they built it in the room. It was too big to fit out the door. We tried. So they go, how are we going to get the baby crib out? So I took a chainsaw and I cut the wall of the house, and my cousin was saying, what are you doing? You're damaging the house. We're going to get a bill from the landlord. And I said, don't worry. This house is deemed zero value already because of the hurricane. So they're not, the owner, your landlord, is not going to ask you to pay for damages. So no worry. So I always remember that. So anyway, other questions?
Yes, good story, good story. Yeah, the next one here is, looks like a special interest question. Do you know what the status of the Alawai flood control project is?
Um, I haven't talked to Army Corps of Engineers for a while. I was in contact with them because I was involved in the path of the flood project in Manoa, going down Palolo and making their route to actually the Alawai. And right now, they're having different meetings to discuss, but the bottom line is it's not going to happen right away. You know why? Because it depends on the city and state and the federal government. And when I say depends, it's money. The federal government hasn't committed and kicked in their share, and I don't know if they're about to. But as far as the planning is still going on, but you could plan it and have the plan approved. But then if there's no money to fund it, the project never happens. Yeah, so it's a money issue too. And during the time of the planning, Trump was the president, and now there's a new president, Biden, and I don't know how he feels about it. But anyway, I'm meeting today for lunch with the guy who headed the protests against the Alawai flood project. So maybe I'll find more information out. But yeah, good question.
Yeah, thanks, Lance. Yeah, we get one more here that I see. I don't see any others right now on Zoom or Facebook, but they're asking, my neighbor had a flood last year and the contractor doing the renovations is way behind schedule and the work is of poor quality. What can my neighbor do to speed things up and get better quality workmanship?
Okay, so I would say the neighbor should contact the insurance company and tell the insurance company what's going on. Also, let me backtrack. Who hired the contractor? If the owner hired the contractor and the insurance company is just paying for it, the owner has to get on the contractor's case. Okay. Now, I'm not sure. Every time there's a problem, normally the problem with the contract is due to not only the construction schedule delay, but quality of workmanship. So there may be two issues where the guy's like behind schedule and the work is not good quality. Okay, so I don't know if the neighbor talked to the contractor or what, but I think that needs to be open communication. Also, the neighbor needs to get serious, and maybe he is serious, but by serious I mean he needs to actually get a professional involved, okay, and a third party professional. He needs to hire a construction consultant to get in, inspect the work, look at the schedule, look at the contract, look at the quality of workmanship, make his own report, and start kicking butt. Okay, because if the homeowner is not versed in construction and how to do things, and he's a lay person as far as construction is concerned, the contractor is just going to walk all over it. So if you get a professional in, a third party professional that can deal with the contractor and talk story with the contractor on the same terms and the same jargon that the contractor's using, then maybe the contractor would think twice about, trying to pull the wool over the neighbor's eyes here. Okay, so when somebody appears that's a third party and they have their background, normally the contractor would respect that and kind of work with them. They may get upset, like, hey, what's this? Why do you need to hire that guy? But that just keeps them honest. And unfortunately, you would have to pay extra to this person, but sometimes that's the only way to get things done. And if you can't still get things done, then the next step is you got to go talk to an attorney and get the attorney involved, or talk to the insurance company. And maybe the insurance company has an attorney or something. Sometimes it's a mess. When the insurance is involved, it doesn't go, that smooth. But the insurance company lets homeowners select the contractor. So if that's the case, then the insurance company is going to say, well, you hired the contractor, so you deal with them. Okay. The other thing is just don't pay. Tell the insurance company, hold off on paying because I'm not happy with the work, right? Also, make sure you review the scope of work and the warranty you get and all that. So it's clear. And that's why I want to make sure that everybody's educated about how to work with a contractor, how to deal with a contractor, and kind of level the playing field. There's too much going on where shenanigans, and that's why there's all these complaints at the Contractors License Board, DCC, and RICO. And how do I know? I see those all the time. I get calls for help with trying to resolve the situation. So any other last comments or questions before we sign off?
No, I don't have anything here, Lance, but it sounds like what you were talking about there is either something we've covered in other webinars or something that's coming up. So good.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, thank you everybody for attending, tuning in either on Zoom or Facebook Live. If you're on Zoom, or if you want to watch the recording or spread the word, just go to our website. The video will be up there soon. And also, don't forget, if you're interested in monster houses, or if you have a neighbor or relative or friend that are interested in hearing about monster houses, tune into our webinar. It's just recently scheduled with us on July 7th at 9 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. And I know there's a bunch of people already interested in knowing more about the monster houses, and I'm going to share with you things that people don't normally know. So tune in. Also tune in on our next webinar series. Go to our website, help yourself to our offerings that we have. We have a whole bunch of videos on demand. And if it's not covered there, you have a question, reach back out to us, and we'll see how we can help you. In the meantime, we're going to sign off, and that all that water behind me, I got to go help drain it out. So I got to leave now. All right. So on behalf of Martin and I, and Ask the Building Expert series, we say, see you next time. And thank you for joining us today. Aloha.